All right. There are lots of reasons why many Americans dislike the Electoral College. It's too complicated. It's outdated. This is ridiculous. Why can't it just be whoever gets the most votes? But they really want to like change the system and scrap the Electoral College and move on to something else. But let's look at why those people might be wrong and why it might actually be better to keep the Electoral College. So, what are the positives of the Electoral College system? First thing is the way we've always done it. Now, that's not always a good reason to keep doing something, it's that's the way it's always been done. But to be honest, there is no 100% perfect alternative. So if there's not a perfect alternative, why don't we just continue with the system that's gotten us this far, with some bumps along the road, admittedly, but has gotten us this far? Right? Why risk changing to something else where there's no guarantee that's going to work any better? It does promote federalism. It really involves the states and makes them influential in the selection of the president. Um, and to be honest, it's probably the other, like, it's the major reason why the electoral college probably is never going to be changed. Is because remember, the states actually are the ones that approve and ratify all the amendments. Why would they sign off on a system being changed that would make them less relevant or influential? So it does give the states a major say. And like in a similar note, it requires the candidates to like widely campaign. Candidates can't just focus on like the largest cities across the United States. They have to focus on all areas, including like rural areas, and you can't just focus on a handful of states. It does require a wider campaign. The Electoral College does have the ability to enhance minority voting power. So if you belong to a minority group that doesn't make up a sizable portion of the national population, if you had just direct election where everybody was voting, potentially candidates may not be motivated to tailor their message to that group because they don't make up a sizable portion of the population. But because every state is its own mini election for points, a candidate, if a minority group makes up a sizable portion of a state population, may not be able to neglect the wishes and desires and needs of that minority group and may have to tailor their ideas and platforms and sort of what they're running on to appeal to that group because they're necessary to winning a state. So it does have the ability to enhance minority voting power. And lastly, because it's winner take all, and the only way that you get electoral votes is if you get the most votes in a state, it really makes third parties irrelevant. And you could argue that's a negative, but it also makes our system easy to understand. Every election is going to end up with either a Democrat or Republican winning. It's going to be either A or B, heads or tails. It's easy to understand, at least in that respect. And there's not 12 or 14 parties all vying against each other.